Hello, and this is my review comparing the Angstrom clock to the PiCube. To kick off, I'm going to be speaking about the Angstrom clock and the kind of benefits and negatives to it. Firstly, the one main kind of disadvantage to the Angstrom is the price. It's $75 plus shipping, so if you live anywhere outside the States, you're going to get, it's going to cost a lot. It cost me just under $100 to get it shipped here with a bottle of D&M. The next thing about the Angstrom is that I've found, compared to my PiCube, it is a bit slower. I know that's not what other people are having, but I have found it's slightly slower. But also, that makes it controllable, and on the 1 and 2 pin turns, I'm really accurate. Whereas it comes to the 3 and 4 pin turns, they're much slower, and I tend to, if like I'm doing I tend to undershoot quite a lot compared to on the PiCube. One very good thing is that I've done probably 250, 300 solves, not that many, but I haven't had it lock up once compared to the PiCube, which has a couple of times on the pins, and I think that is because the pins on the Angstrom are really nice. They're the best pins on any clock I've ever used, never mind my kind of old PiCube. My PiCube is quite old. It is one of the kind of first old PiCube clocks that I bought early 2018, late 2017. It has done me very well. It got me down to kind of just averaging very low 6. But hopefully the Angstrom, if it gets replaced or fixed or whatever, will get me kind of just past a little bit more. But anyway, that's besides the point. It's also internally magnetized, which is kind of rare in clocks that you buy. Most of them are externally magnetized. You have the ring magnets and the caps on the end. Another major big difference is the price. Whenever I bought my PiCube, it was $15, which is incredible, really, for a magnetic clock, of the kind of caliber that it is. Unfortunately, now I believe they're nearer $40 plus shipping, which is, I'd still say it's probably better value than the current Angstroms, but you never know. The second batch hopefully will be much better than the first batch. It's fast, I would say faster than, especially on the 3 and 4 pin turns, than the Angstrom, but it locks up a lot. Like, you have to be your turns, the pins are, you see that's barely out there, and the pins are fairly dodgy in that sense. They're not great, but then again, that comes with the price. You pay for the Angstrom clock, and the pins are very nice, but the turning isn't as good. Really quickly, I'm not going to take apart my Angstrom because I'm too scared, but I will show you the internals of the PiCube just so you can have an idea of how it works. So, pop these in. Here is the PiCube. You see the magnets on the pins are very much, you see the pins are kind of, let's see if I can get to focus, they've been trimmed down a good bit. You can see it there. Actually, I might be able to get a regular pin in a sec. So I have a pin from an unmodded Lingao and a pin from a PiCube, and you can see here, it's kind of difficult to see in the camera, but it's been shaved down a bit to accommodate that magnet that's been put on there, compared to this one, which obviously has the little metal pins inside it there. And that's what the magnets replace, but you see it's smooth. It hasn't been shaved down at all around this kind of just right by the gears. And then if you look at the inside, the kind of black case, see the ring magnets on the inside. I have had issues with these coming off. I've had maybe 2 or 3 times these have come off, but it was kind of really easy and quick to glue back in. And 30,000 solves, you expect the magnets to come off a couple of times. One thing in my PiCube, I'm not sure about the new ones, but you see the springs aren't trimmed. And these springs are trimmed, so this little bit here is taken off, which is on the Angstrom, which stops face jumping. One other major thing compared to the Angstrom to the Lingao is these bumps. Here, these 4 bumps around the centres. These have been trimmed down so the edges, so you kind of only have half a bump, because it's impossible to do a turn on a clock with at least a centre on one side turning, so you're always going to have the resistance, so it kind of halves almost the resistance at least in a turn, which is nice. But then evidently it didn't work too well with the 3 and 4 pins. So this is kind of my old PiCubes. I'm not sure what the new ones are like. I'd imagine they're very, very similar. I believe, I think these springs are trimmed in the new ones, but I cannot be 100% sure. But it is a fairly good representation of what the PiCube clocks are like, because I've done so many solves on it, and it's overall it's much I would say much better value, even at the $40 compared to the $15 that I spent at the time to buy the PiCube over the Angstrom. But if they improve the Angstrom and fix it, and hopefully they will replace it for everyone who bought it and it isn't quite as good as they expected, it might just tick over being worth $75, but right now in the state that it's in, PiCube all day. Alright, to finish it off, I'm going to be doing a few quick solves in the Angstrom. I'm not going to cut or show you just the highlights. I'm going to show you the first, 5 solves, let's say, that I'll do after this, obviously, that. So there's no kind of bias there. You'll be able to see any. Alright, this is my second, unfortunately, attempt at an average of 5, because I discovered after shooting the first one and talking and doing all sorts that my camera angle was terrible, and you could my hands were dipping in and out, you could barely see the clock during the average, but hopefully this time will work out. I'm doing comp sim, so I'm using the Angstrom clock box, which is designed to also be a cover, and I'm using CS timer to generate the timers, and I'm using a stock mat and all that, so it should be the closest to a competition you can get without going to one, really. Alright, solve 1 of 5. Let's see. Okay, solve 2, the average. Solve 3 of 5, anyway. Well, timer didn't stop, but it probably would have been around a 7-ish, 8.9, that's all I put in. But in theory should be an extra. Alright, solve 3, 2 more left. Oh. Ugh, I rotated wrong and didn't do what I expected. Alright, this is the final solve of the average. Well, nice. Overall, by no means is the Angstrom a bad clock. It's not the best clock I've ever used, but it's by no means the worst. I would say for the extra $35 that you pay for the Angstrom over the PiCube, it's not worth it, personally. But I know that Temporus in the future will be better than this one, because the Cube will have listened to people's issues and complaints, and I know that it will replace any or fix any clocks that people are having issues with. The PiCube is definitely one of the best clocks out there for its price. It's very difficult to find any magnetized clock, really, for that price. Never mind one that's so good and so cheap, relatively. Between the two that I have in my hands right now, the PiCube is better, but I think the Angstrom will hopefully improve over time, and with break-in and such. So, thanks for watching, and I hope I helped you make your decision if you are considering buying either of these clocks in the future.